And then that why not a service like ours? Why couldn't it raise actually huge amounts of money in order to grow and create better work days throughout in many other countries as well. When you look at how people are doing, and it's globally not very, encouraging. Sometimes when you're listening to people, I think the AI is now really bringing back the very human needs and human connection.
Welcome to WITT. Hi, I'm Megan. I talk with founders, investors, and operators working in tech. My aim is to inspire you with their stories and perspectives. Through this podcast, I want to amplify the voice of women working in tech. If you want to support WITT, then make sure you follow us on your favourite podcasting app. Then you won't miss any future episodes. Today's guest is Jaana, CEO and co-founder of Breaks. She's on a mission to bring creativity and well-being into the workplace through small, powerful moments. Let's dive in. Hi, Jaana. Welcome to WITT. It's great to have you on the podcast.
Great to be here.
Awesome. I would love to kick off our conversation with a lightning round.
Yes.
Let's get into it. First question. What's one song that always lifts your mood?
Just one. Girl on Fire.
Oh, yeah, I like that one. It's good. Second question. What's a small routine that you use to build team connections?
I use a sense of humor. I tend to make jokes.
I like that. That's always good. Third question. If you could take a work vacation anywhere, where would you go and why?
New Zealand, because I love the country. I lived there for a year.
Love it. What's one thing about entrepreneurship that no one prepares you for?
Tough one. Life. I mean, the personal life, it can bring you some aspects which you cannot really prepare.
I like that. And how do you define success today?
I think that it's the strength of getting up when things haven't gone right. So the resilience, you just keep on going no matter what.
Yeah, that's really nice. Sixth question. What's your dream collaboration or brand partnership?
Hard one. I probably say that Nike calling us to do a collaboration with us and conquer the world with the happiness.
Yeah, I like that. Nike's a good option. Seventh question. What's the kindest thing someone's done for you professionally?
There are many, but people have actually done a lot of voluntary work, unpaid hours, and helped us. It always warms my heart.
Yeah, love it. Eighth question. What do you believe is the most critical skill for a successful founder?
Resilience. Very strong resilience.
Yeah, simple but very true. Who's an unlikely source of inspiration in your life?
Our rock band. I sing in a rock band.
I like that. Yeah, that's so cool. And then the last question for the lightning round is, if you had to describe your entrepreneurial journey in 3 emojis, what would they be and why?
Heart would be one, because what we do is helping out people. Then but the surprised, when so many things happen that you are not prepared for. And then, of course, smile, because we are talking about happiness. Smile again.
Yes, I love that. Well, that was really awesome. Thank you so much for answering my lightning round question.
Thank you.
And now let's move on to your journey, right? So you founded Breaks, your company, in 2017, inspired by your love of singing. And that is just crazy to me. So tell me about Breaks. Tell me what the origin story is.
Yes, well, it's actually when I started to take singing lessons back in it's almost 20 years ago, they were giving me a lot of creativity and inspiration when I used to work at the Helsinki airport. And I started to think that, what if there could be a way to bring what I experienced as an individual to working life?
Yeah.
And I started to little bit study that how organizations are providing some creative methods, creative ways in during the working days, and obviously that was a very like pioneer work back then. But it just got me thinking that what if I would have that experience during my work day, what I had during my free time, and that was like giving me a little bit like you. Everyone needs this mission that what if I can um, create a solution for the organizations where they can actually have access to various type of suppliers, and then again hearing the supplier side where they had difficulties of providing services. Of course back then it was a really different the offering what we are having nowadays, but the spark was there that I thought that you know helping organizations and also the providers somehow um, finding each other, and then again bringing uh, that well-being, that sense of well-being that I experienced when I took the singing lessons. Because it's like, of course now it goes back to the singing and there are lots of other aspects as well, but there is a reason why, especially here in Finland, karaoke is super popular. People tend to say that, no, but I can't sing, and yet everyone wants to sing. And singing is somehow uniting people. It actually is
Yeah.
good for your mental health as well, and lots of aspects which I think that still exist even after all those years when I. But in a way, the reason I'm sitting here today is because
Yeah.
I started to take those singing lessons many years ago.
Such a crazy story and
It
so
is.
interesting. It's so interesting as well. But can you give us like an example of what Breaks does with this whole creativity aspect?
Yes. So at the when the organization or the HR decision maker or team leader is thinking that there's a team day coming or some training day coming, they need a place, they need a program, they might need an activity, and then they end
Mm-hmm.
up googling various providers. You might end up having 5 partners, and then on the other side, there are the suppliers who are trying to package and tailor their content so that it would match the needs of the organizations, which is sometimes hard. And they only can provide that one thing or few other things. But anyways, it's quite narrowed. So we realized that there is a need to have a one organizer who, in a way, puts them all under one umbrella. So it's easy for the providers to be there and for the buyers to find the services needed. And that's what we've been building. We called it a idea catalog and the happiness as a service, which
Yeah.
is of course a little bit like fun way, but
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
our promise that we give to the customers, that we intend to make work days happier and people that feel more engaged to each other and also to their um, employer.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking a lot about customers, right? And I always think that as a founder, to understand the customer mindset, whether it's like hair on fire, hard fact, or future vision, it's just so important to understand where their mindset is. Where do you think Breaks fits into this kind of customer mindset?
I think that we are help, or in a way we are saving time for them when they are, like I mentioned, it's a lot of time, it's very time consuming to organize company gatherings in general. The ones who say that it's not, then they actually never organized anything. That's in
Yeah,
my mind. And then of course we are helping people to connect to each other. So in a way we are bringing especially now in the remote times, I think that our service is actually bringing people back together
yeah,
physically, and it can be, of course, also done online. But I'm a true believer of physical meetings as they are they are still something. There's more important things on them, especially nowadays. And of course, when we have had customers who have worked with us once or had some sessions through us once, they tend to come back. So I feel that the longest customers we've had, they've been using our services for 3 years already. So I think that tells something about that if the quality is good and our service promise matches, then they tend to stick with us. So we get to know them really, and then there's even more value to the buying customer. But then when we are talking about the customers, I want to also, because the two-sided marketplace has also the other side, so it's the supplier side. And we've been so lucky to be very organically, it's been growing throughout the years. We've been getting requests how to join this, in a way, almost like a movement of yours, how to get part of the idea catalog. And I'm very happy because we haven't even advertised so much that we're seeking for providers. They found us through their networks, or somebody has been recommending that, hey, you might want to be part of this great group. So and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, no, it's really awesome, and it always goes back to that kind of human connection.
It does.
Essence of community, that kind of thing, and that's just really special. Now we're going to switch topics a little bit, and I believe that you are raising capital for Breaks.
Yes.
Again. And I loved your April Fool's post about a 700 million raise. And obviously, sadly, that is a joke, but there's always a little bit of truth inside. So what are your thoughts on raising capital?
Well, obviously, I have to say that particular joke really brought us so many positive messages that I was just surprised, and of course very happy that many people, like you mentioned, really wished that it would have been true, because they thought that when everything is so tech this and tech that, that I still think that we are a service business, although the tech is enabling us to scale and grow. But it was really heartwarming to think that people are standing behind us, that that there's a room for the good things in the world, and I strongly believe that that's the case also when you look at the world nowadays. Do we really, I think that the happiness and kindness are an asset, and that there's going to be a huge return on investments in those kind of areas. And of course, I think that putting a message like that out was a bit fun, but of course, I thought that, why not shake a little bit about the investment sector itself? Like, when you think now or look at the world where it is, do we really need more money, or do we actually need people who feel better, who then perform better, and eventually end up bringing more results as well? But I guess that's a question that I'd like to also raise to investors, that, when you're talking about the impact investment, that are you looking at the founder or the values of the founder? Because in our case, they are very true. Like, we are very human-centric. We care for people. It's super important for me to actually respect the people that work with me and treat them well, like, in the way that everyone would want to be treated. And then that why not a service like ours? Why couldn't it raise actually huge amounts of money in order to grow and create better work days throughout in many other countries as well? When you look at how people are doing, and it's globally not very I would say encouraging sometimes when you're listening to people. I think that the AI is now really bringing back the very human needs and human connection. And then the solution that we have is actually very much related to that. So, and in a way, although it's some could say that it's easy to do what we do, then I'm just saying that go and try. We've been doing it for 8 years now, so there's a bit of a task to be followed. But anyways, I genuinely believe that it would be nice to see that a company like us could actually grow and get uh, funding round. Of course, that's I think that's not quite there yet, the amount that we
Yeah.
talked about, but I
But
think that
one day,
yeah,
one
one
day.
day, and I wish that in investment side, of course, I've been following the industry now for many years, but when we are talking about the impact, then I've been telling to our in early stage investors that you should be very proud that if somebody tells that I've invested to this tech solution, and you could say that, yeah, I've invested a solution that brings happiness. So way it's like, what do you got? What's your excuse?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, yeah, that's so true. Like, be proud of the fact that you guys have sort of realize the opportunity. Of course, there's business side involved. I do get it, but none of them have really talked about the euros. I think that it's more about the impact. That, hey, but you seem to be doing something good. You're bringing a solution that is like really helping people, and also the suppliers
Definitely.
who usually are smaller entrepreneurs who really wish to have more sales for themselves, etc. So there's like a two-sided help. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It is very much 100% about the problem that you are solving and not really about the money aspect. If
No.
you're becoming an entrepreneur just because of the money, that's not the point of entrepreneurship. It's about the problem.
Yeah.
Anyways, and I know that you strive to practice, and this is a little bit related, but you strive to practice authentic leadership. So can you like unpack that for me? So, like, what does it mean to treat people like you want to be treated? A very old saying, but what does it mean to you?
I think that it's for me it's like I don't know. I think that I've been raised in a way that you respect people, you give them space, you're really
Mm-hmm.
listening to them, you care for them. So I do show if somebody has some problems or some bad days, that it's okay. It's just a life.
Yeah,
Life happens, and then
tis life. Yes.
and I guess that the fact that I'm not trying to be perfect myself, so I'm asking a
Mm-hmm.
lot of questions from people and making them also to participate into planning and thinking together, because it's I'm not the wisest person in the room. I'm trying to make them to really think that who could solve this if there's some problem that needs to be solved,
Mm-hmm.
and then having a little bit of fun. I tend to, like I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to come up with jokes. We share also our personal stuff, but it doesn't need to be shared if some people like respecting the boundaries as well. That although I'm quite often talking about what my kids have been doing, I don't expect that the others are doing the same, but quite often they do. When you're like the psychological safety is very strong in our team, and that means that people do share their personal life
Yeah.
stuff, and I think that that's super important, because nowadays it's impossible to separate those things. That person who tells that I'm not bringing my personal life to work, that they're lying. If they say that, then they are just pretending that it doesn't influence, but of course it does. If you're having problems at home, or somebody is about to die, you, it's gonna you're not a human being if that doesn't influence to you
Yeah.
and your performance. So I'd rather know it, so then as a leader I know that perhaps some behavior or some ways of performance are related to the fact that there is a personal life happening, and
Right.
and it's important to take that into control into account when you're perhaps making plans for the future, and being I think that the authentic part is also that trying to be you, and
Yeah.
encourage everyone else to be themselves, that you don't need to have a role, you don't need to if you're a sales director, you can be just it's not the title that I want to hear. It's the person that behind that role that I'd like to bring to the table. And I think that many people have asked that what are the ways of what am I doing? And I'm like, it's just for me, it's just that's how I've been raised. And if perhaps going back to kindergarten days when my kids were learning how to treat others with respect, that I don't know, have we lost that in some parts during when we've been growing up? Because even the kindergarten they learn those skills, so they, perhaps we should go back to those days, many of the leaders not of today.
Yeah. No, it definitely goes back to that whole kind of seeing the person behind the mask, or the face behind the mask, and then your whole concept of bringing your whole self to work. I really like that part. Really interesting kind of take. But let's dig into your frameworks. So you talked about learning by doing rather than the common style in Finland, especially, of kind of writing the reports and not acting. So where are you learning by doing? Like, work it out for us, explain it a little bit.
Yeah, I think that it's a hard way. It's definitely hard because then you make mistakes and you end up doing stuff that you are not always so good at, and I sometimes I'm even like, it takes a lot of courage to just go and do stuff and then come back and you feel like sometimes like an idiot, that why did I even try that? But at least you are trying that. I think that in Finland we are really like extremely good at writing reports and doing a research and a study. And for good example now is learning by doing. I was sort of realizing that it's a bit hard to find the next investors from Finland, because Finns are very, very engineer-based mindset. So I thought that, okay, because the UK is on our roadmap, so why not go there? So what I did, I thought that let's go to the UK and talk to the UK investors in the UK and participate to London Tech Week. And there I'm actually going. So it's doing stuff, not knowing what's happening, but at least I'm doing it. So instead of making a study and finding out who could be a potential people to meet, I'm just going. Like, I'm trusting on the fact that if you're active enough, you end up in the right places, which is now seeming to be happening. But of course, there's a background work that I'm doing. But still, it's not like I'm waiting here that somebody makes it happen for me. I'm just making it happening together with our team, and because I think that's one important aspect, that if you are expecting things to happen, you quite often need to do it.
Do it yourself.
Yeah, so otherwise you end up just complaining. There's a lot of people who just complain, so I don't want to be one of those.
Yeah. No, it reminds me of a really good quote that is slightly related to this, which is, stop waiting for someone to save you, or in this case, help you. Save/help yourself, which I really love that quote. I think it really sums up what you're saying.
I like that quote as well.
But yeah, and now we've entered the part of the podcast which I like to call the zigzag zone. So I want to know where you're zagging and everyone else is zigging. So we're going to go back a little bit more to Breaks and talk about timing. So when you first started Breaks, you left the safety of your Helsinki airport job, selling your home and having your newborn twins. Tell us about that. What was that experience like, and that kind of whole aspect of timing?
Yes, well, many people, I did get phone calls that, have you lost your mind? And everyone telling that you have this steady job. Did you really sell your house? How about those twins? That who's gonna look after them? I'm like, yeah, we have all sorted out, and I haven't lost my mind. I'm just following my, the intuition and gut feeling, and of course the feeling that it's now or never. But I'm not just gonna take the jump to unknown, which it was completely to unknown. And I guess that's what's needed sometimes, that it takes a lot of courage and believe in yourself, a good support group, the very close ones. It's important that they are supporting you, because if you're you against the world all the time, it can be a very tough. But
Yeah.
and
Very lonely.
yeah, but I guess that usually the most success stories that there are sacrifices that you need to make.
Yeah.
And those are, well, some of us are, I don't know, crazier, and who are willing to sacrifice more.
Yeah.
And I think that as an entrepreneur, you need to make quite a many sacrifices throughout the journey, and it's taking a lot. So if you're that person who wants to play safe all the time, then I would not, recommend
Yeah. Don't become an
running.
entrepreneur.
Yeah, because it's far away from that. And if you're scared, if you're scared to make quick moves, then don't do it, because then you're gonna lose your mind. But I think that me as a person, I always was like that. Doing stuff that others thought that there's the easy way or the safe way, and then I was
Yeah.
always thinking that, well, what could I do differently? And somehow it seems to be that now being an entrepreneur, that actually helps.
Yeah. Probably one of the only jobs where it actually does.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, 100% definitely that kind of risk and ability to just go off and do something as an entrepreneur is just invaluable. And I just feel like a lot of people underestimate how important it is.
That's true.
But yeah, no, it's now story time. And this was super interesting to learn. But I want to know what happened when you first met President Barack Obama and George Clooney, not on the same day, because that would be just crazy. But how did that happen?
Well, there's this Nordic Business Forum conference here in Helsinki yearly. Actually, it was 2018, if I remember correctly, when President Obama was the main speaker there. And I managed to we actually put the whole marketing budget of our company to that particular ticket that I knew that had a meet and greet. That actually goes to the zigzag again, that people told that you didn't do it. I'm like, yes, I did, because I had the chance.
Yes,
and why didn't I? And there was very limited the amount of tickets, so I thought that he was one of those people that I've always dreamed of meeting, and of course it's a really short one. But what happened before the actual meet and greet during that VIP party or whatever it was, I didn't really know anyone there. And people, like, Finns are sometimes like that you end up walking there, and you have the feeling that you're not welcome to talk to anyone. So I thought that I might leave home, but there's this one man who looks friendly. I'm gonna go and talk to him and ask that how is it going. And he was from the United States, and even that didn't ring any bells to me, that why would anyone come from the United States to the venue. And well, long story short, he happened to belong to President Obama's group. And that was a bit of a fun thing when the day after, when we actually had that very short meet and greet, having this very same person there, taking the people actually to shake hands and taking photos. And he looked quite, I think it's serious. But when he saw me, we were like, hi, how is it going? And, you should have seen the faces of the people in the line who thought that, who is she when she knows this person? And, it's like, that happens. But yeah, it was a very warm, like, I was so shocked, because I started to think that it was a lie. Like, obviously, no, he couldn't be who he said that he was. And until I saw him there, and, I could barely say my name. I think that I was just, too emotional. But then going back to meeting George Clooney, that's very same venue, I think a couple of years later, I actually felt that I would have changed that photo, as nice as it is to have a photo with George Clooney, to have a chance to have a discussion with him when I made a joke that, hey, I'm actually a mother of twins as well, because he's a father of twins. And he looked like, oh my goodness. And we started to talk about twins. And then there was this photo like, hey, smile. And then I think that I was pushed away when we tried to continue the discussion about what it is to raise twins in this world. So if he hears, I'm more than happy to continue our discussion. It was very short, too short.
That's so awesome, so interesting. Thank you so much. But now we're sadly coming to the end of the podcast, but I do have 3 final questions for you.
Yes.
So the first one being, imagine it's 2035, so in 10 years. What does your life look like? What does breaks look like? Where are we?
Well, I'd say that I probably would have also, in addition to lovely country Finland, I probably will be having a house in some other country or countries as well, knowing myself.
Nice.
And then we've grown into a global operator, and in a way known throughout the world. And as my dream that finally some service company from Finland has nailed that the next big brand that people would recognize would be Breaks with Happiness as a Service. So when we have the Nokia connecting people, I think that it's Breaks reconnecting the people. So that's what we've done. And it would be nice to be known as a company who've brought very human-centric values and, in a way, movement, which has really helped people throughout the world.
That. Next question is, how can listeners follow along with your journey and obviously your company's journey as well?
How? Well, you can of course reach me via LinkedIn and connect there, and we have also for Breaks. So there's a LinkedIn profile, Facebook and Instagram. They're the best ways, and of course reach out. And I'm always happy to, if people are connecting and wanting to get to know us. It's easy to have online coffees, so just follow us on those channels, and you can personally also reach out to me, especially if you're an investor.
Yeah, of course. And then last question, how can listeners be useful to you? So what can they do to help you?
They can help us to share our messages and comment on those. And I really loved when we have made few jokes on our LinkedIn profile, and it gained international audience and international comments, and it just made my day, because that's the intention. So it would be super helpful if they could share what we do, or even comment, or just let their network know that we exist, because nowadays it's really hard to get the media attention when there's so much hassle. So it's very helpful if people share what we do, and be honest, and make questions, tag us to posts. That's actually been very helpful as well, that if there's somebody commenting on something that relates to what we do, just tag Breaks or me and ask, how do you see it? Mm-hmm. So there again, we get a lot of traction all of a sudden. And then of course you can always buy our services if you are B2B operator. That's the most helpful. But getting the of course all attention from people, that helps super much. So I'm thanking from the bottom of my heart that people are willing to help us to spread what we do.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I'm really looking forward to following along with both your journey and obviously Breaks' journey as well. But thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. To make sure you don't miss next week's episode, follow us on your favourite podcasting app. Do consider leaving us a review, as it helps the podcast tremendously.